Ever wondered how water turns into ice? Does it freeze slowly, bit by bit? Not really. If you drop the temperature from 20 degrees to 1, it's still water. But the exact microsecond it hits 0 degrees, it snaps. It transforms. In science, they call this a phase transition. People who actually pull off a massive comeback or a rags to riches story don't just get better gradually. They hit a specific moment where they suddenly undergo a phase transition. I'm your mindset companion. We've been brainwashed to believe that change takes forever, that growth is this slow, linear accumulation. But what if I told you that's a carefully designed trap? It's a narrative that makes you feel okay with being average. It lets you use the excuse, "I'm just not ready yet," as a mask for your procrastination. The truth is, life isn't changed by time. It's changed by moments. Look at Colonel Sanders. Before he was 65, his life was a total train wreck. He went bankrupt during the Great Depression and spent years sleeping in his car behind gas stations. When he got his first Social Security check for $105, he felt like the world had officially left him for dead. But on one specific afternoon, sitting under a tree in his backyard, he wrote a failure autopsy. In that moment, he didn't choose to wait for a miracle. He made a radical decision to take his one fried chicken recipe and knock on doors across America until something broke. That was his phase transition. Before that afternoon, he was a broke old man on welfare. After that afternoon, he was the founder of a global empire. Change doesn't need a long time. It needs a tipping point. So why are we talking about 25 hours? Because 24 hours is a loop of mediocrity. But the 25th hour? That's the only window you have to jump out of the loop. A while back, psychologists tracked people who claimed they wanted to change their lives in a year. They found that the 8% who actually succeeded didn't have a breakthrough on day 365. They had it in the first 72 hours. The rest of the year was just a follow-up to that one moment. Time is just a container. Most people fill it with repetition, same habits, same thoughts, and they call it experience. But real growth isn't repetition, it's iteration. Repetition is doing the same thing 10,000 times. Iteration is doing one thing differently and then optimizing it 10,000 times. Look at Ray Dalio. In 1982, he made a bad economic call and lost everything. He had to borrow $4,000 from his dad just to pay his bills. In his darkest hour, he didn't just try harder. He spent one night obsessed with one thought, turned the pain into a signal. That one cognitive leap created the principles that built the biggest hedge fund in the world. Let's break this down into real actionable steps. This isn't a pep talk, it's a hack for your life. First, the audit. 3 hours. Stop being vague. Write down the 3 worst decisions you've made in the last 5 years. Calculate the actual cost. How much money did you lose? What opportunities did you blow? That sting, that's the fuel for your transition. Second, the break. 4 hours. Cut a habit you've had for over a year. Not reduce it, kill it. If you're addicted to scrolling, delete the apps. Use these 4 hours to do that one thing you've been terrified to start. It's not about what you start. It's about what you stop. Third, the anchor. 6 hours. Find a goal you'd be willing to chase for 10 years. Break it down into verifiable actions for the next 90 days. Vague goals are breeding grounds for excuses. You need instructions that look like code. Fourth, the launch, 8 hours. Complete the first minimum viable loop of your goal. Want to write a book? Don't outline. Finish the first chapter. Starting 10,000 things is worthless. Finishing one thing is everything. Fifth, the lock-in. 4 hours. Create an irreversible commitment. Use your primal fear of looking like a failure. Make a public bet with someone you actually care about. But in this entire 25-hour block, only the first hour actually matters. The brain has something called a priming effect. How you start the first hour dictates the momentum of the next 24. In that first hour, write a letter to yourself 1 year from now. This isn't a "you can do it" letter. This is a contract of judgment. Write it down. If you're still in the exact same spot a year from now, What will you lose? If you change, what will you gain? What price are you willing to pay right now? The point of this letter isn't to inspire you, it's to judge you every time you try to slip back into your liquid life. Stanford research shows that successful people treat their future self like a real person, while failures treat their future self like a stranger. When you sign that contract, you're forging that connection. 25 hours isn't a unit of time, it's a shift in perspective. Most people live in a closed loop. Today copies yesterday. They don't lack the time to change. They lack the balls to jump out of the loop. That 25th hour is the crack in the wall. The version of you that isn't a slave to fear or habit? He's been there the whole time. You just haven't given him a chance to show up. So, when does your first hour start? Right now, or are you going to wait until you're ready? We both know that waiting until I am ready has killed more dreams than failure ever will. Are you going to be the next victim? That's all for today. If this hit different, do me a favor and subscribe. I really appreciate the support. I'll see you in the next one.